What's up, everybody? I'm Hope.
And I'm Kadero.
And welcome to H&K Chronicles.
A podcast by your favorite couple, Every Day with H&K.
We hope you're inspired by our love and our laughter.
And whatever conversations come from this.
So sit back, relax, and enjoy.
What's up, everybody?
What's up?
And welcome to H&K Chronicles. It's a podcast by your favorite couple, Every Day with H&K. I am...
You already know, babe.
I cannot.
You already know, babe.
It's so soon. But I am your host, Hope, and sitting beside me in his amazing fall attire, this mustard yellow situation going on is quite great. It's my sexy husband, and his name is...
Kadero.
I knew he was gonna do that. So we just have to first and foremost take this special time out to say, if you are viewing this podcast, that means you're a homie.
You a homie.
You are a homie for real.
You a homie.
You're a homie on our Patreon page, and we are so thankful for your love and your support. You are visually seeing everything that's happening in him.
And if you only hearing this yellow, and you want to see the visual, us actually doing this podcast,
looking like,
you need to check us out on Patreon, man. It's a great platform to, monthly subscription to us.
Bonus content.
The
visual podcast.
You know what
I'm saying? Never before seen TikToks.
And quickies. Oh, you don't know what that is. Guess you're going to have to figure out it by joining Patreon.
Oh, gosh. But everything can be found at our website, www.everydaywithhk.com.
Yes. And I got to get another shout out.
Who you shouting out?
You got to shout out H&K Nation, baby.
That's...
H&K Nation, what's good? Love our fam, man. Love our community.
I can't with you in this foghorn.
Come on now.
I can't. Okay, so we got all the housekeeping out the way.
The
housekeeping business is out the way. And I just want to say this poncho is giving me cozy vibes. So
you looking good. You got anything underneath that poncho is the question.
That's for me to know and you to find out later.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, so Kadero, today, we are talking about, let's say this. Last week, we talked about friendship.
Yeah, that was a good little combo, man.
The conversation.
AKA, we talking.
Yeah, we talking. It was the foundation of friendship, right? So I figured this week we could talk about intentionally dating.
Ooh.
AKA dating intentionally. You see what I did there? Just switched it up. Same thing. All right, so we're talking about dating intentionally.
Let me first ask you this. We've been out of the dating game. Well, wait a minute.
We're still in the dating game. Yes.
But could you imagine?
No, already the answer is no.
You didn't know what I was gonna say.
I think I do. But what are you gonna say?
Could you imagine dating now?
The answer remains the same. No. In that what?
Why? Tell me why you couldn't imagine dating now. Let's
just be okay. We're gonna set it now. We're open. We're honest. We're transparent with you guys.
Yes,
y'all know
exactly.
How we
The people want to know.
Honestly, I feel like it's just hard. One, because
say it again.
It's hard. Okay, it's hard out here, and I'm just saying this. Not even from a dating perspective, because like you said, we haven't dated before marriage. It's been 15 years since we've been off the market.
It's been a minute.
But it's just so much pressure nowadays. We didn't have social media talking about when we were dating.
No.
Now social media is a thing. Social media is showing your best sides outside of what's real sometimes. And it's you see the fluff, and I'm the type of person, don't show me the fluff, show me the real, right? But I just feel like this day and age is just so much fluff. It's a lot of fakeness as far as the portrayal of what we have and who we are, and sometimes that's not the case. So I just feel like it's so much to uncover to figure out what a person really is nowadays. To be honest, you just don't know what you're getting into. You don't know what's happening.
Facts.
People have passed, and some people don't decide that they want to share that with other people until, it's too late or in marriage. And it's like, wait, hold on. Or, before marriage, right?
Should we be talking about that? I guess that's during the dating intentionally. Right. Those are the topics that should come up. Because as we talked about last week, friendship is just kind of that foundation of it and kind of that surface. So at this point, you telling me I should be hot with you. I should be open and honest and transparent, all that type stuff with you. That's what you're saying?
Yeah, and I feel like some people nowadays just aren't that.
Ooh, I can see that.
It's tough.
Yeah.
And it's a lot going on in this world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
it's like people put out, like I said earlier, like they put out their best foot forward. And of course you don't want to meet somebody and just put out your worst of like how you are. Right. Like I get that.
Right.
But it's like, it's way too much going on. It's way too much social media. It's way too much just...
We old school at heart, huh?
Yeah, like nobody's talking anymore. Like I feel like that was one point that I had that I wanted to talk about. Like dating intentionally, like don't text me. And I feel like we're at a point where a lot of people are like just texting or DMing. Like, no, I don't want that. I want you to pick up the phone and call me. Talk to me. Let's talk. Let's go out. Let's have conversations. Don't just hit me in the DMs or the text messages.
Oh.
You know what I'm saying?
That's it. That is a nowadays type
That's
thing.
a nowadays thing.
You couldn't just slide in the DMs.
No.
Back when we was dating. Let me ask you this, like you just mentioned that again, the dating intentionally. What does that mean? Like for people who don't get that, and I've seen it even in the research of thinking of dating intentionally, people put that as very religious.
Yeah.
What is your thoughts? What does it mean to date intentionally?
Okay, dating intentionally to me. Once again, that's just to me.
Because we're not experts, guys.
We're not experts.
Just remember that.
This is just our personal opinions.
Mentors.
To me, dating intentionally is dating with the purpose or the intent to get married. I feel as though a lot of people can use dating very loosely, I'll say. And I feel like...
By getting loose. Oh, shoot. I shouldn't have went there.
I can't. I feel like a lot of people will use that term very loosely. Okay, because what you're doing is maybe you're not dating, but you're socializing, or maybe you're just hanging out. And if you're hanging out with somebody, that's one thing. That's cool. Everything is just friendship level. We getting to know each other. We're hanging out. Nothing serious. We don't have expectations with each other outside of friendships. So it's like, let's hang out. But people will use dating and not realize sometimes that, okay, when I'm dating this person, I'm getting to see, are they marriage material? I'm getting to see what are their plans for their lives? How do they see themselves evolving in the next 10 years? Like we are now purposely getting to know each other with the intent of this could be my husband or this could be my wife, is what I would say dating intentionally would be. Like, and this was one point that I did want to say too.
Oh, she got some points.
I got some points.
She got points.
One thing that I did want to say too is that you never want to get in the habit of dating so much that it's like, oh, we dated, didn't work, we're done. I'm dating this person, didn't work, we're done. Because now that's creating a pattern and a habit of possibly divorce after divorce after divorce, because there's not that commitment that you guys have established or that you've established within yourself. If you're so used to breaking up and going with this person, breaking up and going with that person, like sometimes I feel like you can see that as, oh, this is just the way that things are. If this marriage doesn't work, I'll just break up and I'll just, we're divorced. But, don't practice that habit of on again, off again, on again, off again, on again, off again, because that can set you up to be familiar with the feeling of divorce.
Oh, okay. Dang, you came correct with it.
Just a little stump.
So we dating intentionally.
What does it mean to you? Like, from a guy's perspective, like what does dating intentionally look like?
Yeah, that's a good question.
I say you asked it.
Yeah, I did, didn't I? No, I think I totally agree with you. Like, I think when we're out here dating, or when people are out here dating now, what is the reasoning behind it?
Right. Is it just to get laid?
Are we
just putting it out there?
Just to get laid. Like, I guess today's society, it is. That's sometimes
Part
what
of
it
it.
is. It's casual dating and casual sex.
Hookups.
No true intimacy or commitment or emotions behind it. But those things are still emotional and intimate things. And as much as people say that it doesn't matter, I think it does take a toll. And if it doesn't take a toll on you, what happens is that I think it takes a toll on the next person that you are dealing with that eventually wants to have that relationship with you, or that point where you then take that turn to say, okay, I'm ready to do this. And you get into a relationship, and then you realize you carrying some baggage from the casual dating that you was just doing. So I think dating intentionally can eliminate some of that stuff. And like you said, it's about intently going after a person or pursuing a person in a way to see if they are marriage material, and can we take the next step in marriage. So I guess the person they say, well, what if I don't get married? Then what do you want? Are you wanting kind of like a lifelong partner?
Yeah.
It's still the same thing of a commitment.
Right.
Or you just casually dating. So I think at the end of the day, is like we talking about, it's about that intent to find someone that you can be with forever.
Yeah.
And ever.
I cannot.
And ever.
So let me ask this. Okay, so if we're dating intentionally, what does that look like? Like, what are you, like, okay, so we were friends, right?
Yeah.
And now we're dating intentionally. Like, what does that whole process, that transition, like, what does that look like now?
I think for me, like, it was like, all right, I'm ready to make a commitment. Usually, I think if you're dating intentionally, we talking about like that friendship stage we talked about last week. I think it's a lot of that is the time to get the fluff out to make sure can I even take it to the next step? Are you now that you say, okay, yeah, I can take this to the next step. Let's date. Let's really get to know each other. Now I'm looking at a commitment piece of like, are we gonna do this exclusively?
Right.
Or there can be a time period between the two, like friendship. All right, let's date and get to know each other, and then okay, let's exclusive. But I think sometimes that can get lost in translation. So maybe, all right, we're gonna date exclusively. Like that stuff where we dating, but then as we seeing other people, I think that's a little itchy. That's itchy.
Personally, this is just me personally, but I don't get that. Like, I don't get, and this, once again, if you're doing it, that's your business. It's none of mine. But this is just me personally. Like, I don't get dating multiple people at the same time. I get hanging out with people at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, if we're just friends, we can hang out all the time. But I don't get the term that we say nowadays of I'm dating multiple people.
Yeah.
If dating is meant to be intentional, if it's meant to be, I'm looking at this one person. I'm not dating 6 men at a time, seeing if they're all my husbands to be.
Right.
Like, and that's what I feel like dating intentionally should be, is like you're looking for that mate or that possible mate. So yeah, we can hang out with a bunch of people. I'm not dating anybody exclusive, but I'm hanging out with people. But I'm not dating around with multiple.
So I think that's where the commitment piece comes first.
Yeah.
And deciding, okay, I'm ready to commit to this one person to get to know them.
Yeah.
I think where people get scared is, all right, y'all, they probably thinking, listening right now, like, oh, that sounds great, but if I put in that commitment and it hurt, then what? And I guess that's again what the risk and rewards of life and love, and it's part of it. Like,
it is.
You may get hurt by it, and people are human and they gonna make mistakes, and some people are not gonna be cool. But you're gonna have to be willing to forgive and move on.
Yeah.
But I guess it's better to be like, all right, let me take that risk, and you may have the great reward of an awesome partner. But I think like one thing I think I've seen or read about was the kind of the standards. Like, if I'm setting my commitment, now I have my standards of what I want that person to be like. And I think it's interesting you talk about standards, because I think I think men, we probably don't have as much. I think when it comes to, we have standards, but it's like, we probably lower them joints where women say, I got high standards, and then do we compromise high standards with,
I mean, hold on. Can we dig into that just a little bit?
Okay.
Because this is one thing that, you know, I feel like a lot of women out there, and I definitely had my list of what I tolerated, what I didn't tolerate, what I was looking for, what I wasn't looking for. I guess my question would be, do you feel like we should waver on our standards, or like, what's your viewpoint as far as, okay, if we have these standards, you know what I'm saying? Like, should we compromise any?
This is how I look at it, especially for women looking at men. Let your standards be value driven.
I need you to go a little bit deeper in that, please, sir.
So let your standards be qualities over like things you like qualities of he is honest, he is trustworthy, not he is 6'2", 180 pounds, muscular. There, I think we have superficial standards sometimes.
That's a word.
Superficial
standards.
And not value standards. So you can have high standards, but if they're value driven, like this person, you want them to know God. You want them to be an honest person. You want them to be goal driven. Like those are things you value as a person yourself. I think those are fine not to compromise.
Right.
Because if then there's a red flag and you're compromising a person being honest, then that can cause some issues. Like later down the line, if you're gonna just pass that over. But I think if you're being superficial with standards, like I'm not gonna date that dude because he ain't over 6'2",
missing out on
then you missing out on that brother that's 6'1", that's gonna take care of you.
Just 1 inch.
Just 1 inch.
Just 1 inch shorter.
He's 1 inch shorter.
But he had exactly what you needed.
And a little skinnier frame than you thought he would.
That's so true.
So that's where I think when you talk about standards, what it's about, like never sell yourself short on what you truly deserve.
Yeah.
But never compromise the value standards that you have for
I love that.
person.
That's good. That's really good. Okay, so I have a question. What do you think is, and I'm interviewing you like you're a guest.
I'm a guest on my own show.
Okay.
What the world?
What the world? All right, so why do you think, because everybody, guys, the amount of DMs that we get of, oh my gosh, you guys are just the perfect couple. I want a relationship like yours. I can't wait to get a husband like Kadero and goals and all that stuff. We love it. We appreciate it so much. It's amazing. But why do you think we want this so quickly and right now? And like, because one of the main things that we tell people is not to rush. So I'm wondering, like, what is it that makes us want this so quickly?
We live in a microwave society that say we supposed to have this by this time and that by that time and that by that time.
Say it again.
We live in a microwave society that say we supposed to have this by this time, that by that time, and this by that time.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
And until a person individually can say in their mind, I don't care about the timing, and I'm gonna let life and God lead me in the right timing,
right?
Then that's when those things can happen in the perfect timing. Like things happen in perfect timing. You have to put yourself in the situation, but things gonna have to happen at a certain time. Like I think we're so in a rush because we also see others doing it and the pressure, and we get FOMO.
FOMO. Break it down.
Fear of missing out.
That's what I'm saying.
Especially if you a group of homegirls and all of a sudden it's 4 of y'all and 3 they got married.
Right. Or dating.
Seriously dating. Now we ain't all hanging out like we used to.
Yeah.
You got FOMO. You fear of missing out.
Yeah.
So now you like, oh man, I need to hurry up and find me a man so I can not feel lonely.
Yeah.
People, I think, fall into the trap of feeling lonely.
Yes.
Just because they don't have the friends that they used to have. Like, you don't have to be lonely. And there's people out there that you can meet, or there's time to figure out what your purpose is and get to know God.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because
tell me about that.
Well, I'm just saying, I feel like anybody, and I'm saying this from experience and hoping to help somebody that may be in this particular situation. But I feel like so often we go from friendship level to intentionally making this list of what we want in a mate, how they should be, but we don't even know who we are.
Ooh.
Like, we don't even know what we want out of life, you know? And it's one of those things, like you said, like, we need to take the time to figure out who we are, what God has for us, the purpose, the track that he wants us to be on, and figure out, because honestly speaking, when we got married, the 23-year-old Hope didn't know everything that she wanted out of life.
Oh, absolutely. The 21-year-old Kadero had no clue.
Because we were so young. So it was like, that's why we tell people, like, don't rush. Like, we get that God definitely had his hand on us at a young age. And we knew that, like, we were supposed to get married. All the signs were pointing towards it. And you guys are seeing, like, our marriage unfold right before you. So it's like, you know, God definitely had a plan for our life. But if we could share anything, it's get to know yourself. Like, get to know what you're going to want out of life. Like, live those moments in your young, 20-something years, your early 20s, and discover who you are. Discover what's important to you. Discover
those standards I was talking about.
Those standards.
So, like, for me, like, thinking about that, especially during that time when you're really finding who you are. Focus on myself. Love myself. Find out what makes me happy. Get in tune with the core values that you have. Your core values. What are your core values? Now, from that umbrella of your core values, you can set standards for who you want in a mate. But if you don't love yourself, you can't love somebody else if you don't love yourself. And if you don't know your own core values, how do you look at that mate and say, oh, they have what I'm looking for, if you don't know what the values you're looking for?
That's what I'm saying.
So,
it's a lot of pressure. I mean, it's a lot of pressure. And like you said earlier, because I wouldn't say I was that girl. Like, I wasn't pressured, because honestly, I was one of the youngest of my friends to get married, like, first. So I didn't have that pressure of seeing my other girlfriends get married before me or seriously dating. But I mean, if you walk away with anything from this podcast, it's more so, don't rush the process. And we say this all the time, that sometimes we want to rush things because we think that we're ready for it right now. The thing is, sometimes we're not ready for it, even though we think we are. And then I always say too, it's like, sometimes you can be ready, but then sometimes that person that you're supposed to be with isn't ready. So it's like, why would you want God to present to you a person or put somebody in your life if they're not ready to be there, or if they don't have or aren't equipped yet with the tools that you need to help you towards your purpose in life and all of that stuff. So I think it's just very crucial to not rush the process. Know that it's going to come, and it's going to come in God's perfect timing. Everything that he's done in our life has always been his perfect timing. So we're only speaking from experience, for sure.
Yeah. Let me ask you this then.
Okay.
Because now we're talking about don't rush. All right, now we finally in there. We got this person. We in there.
We in dating stage?
We in dating. We dating now. We ain't rushed now. We are. How do we act towards one another? Like, I want to get to know you. I no longer want to, like, just surface level. I need to get deeper so I can get to know those core values. How do you go about that? What does that look like to, I guess, not impress somebody?
Right. I feel like, one, like we talked about last week, that friendship level, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not impressing you as a friend. We're getting to know each other. So you should kind of already know me from that friendship level.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I don't have to put on any airs or put on any facades or anything like that while we're dating. Now, yes, I'm still going to put now my best sexy foot forward once we done move to the dating stage. You know what I'm saying? But I feel like it's just one of those things where now we're asking the tough questions. And I think that it's so important. Sometimes people, I feel like, can get the friendship and the dating stages confused a little bit, because dating intentionally is more intense than friendship. So in your friendship level, you shouldn't be asking those tough questions as far as what's your credit looking like, what's your medical history, what's, X, Y, and Z. I feel like when you're starting to date intentionally, those questions should ease their way now into the conversation. Now we're creating a space where we can be more trusting and vulnerable with each other. Like, I'm letting you see parts of me or parts of my past that my friends, wouldn't technically see. Because now if we're exclusive, you're getting a part of me that just random Joe isn't getting on the street.
Not random Joe.
Random Joe. Don't know where it came from, but he came down the street. So he's not seeing that. But now that we have a purpose, and now that I know that you're potentially the person that I'm going to be with for the rest of my life, I'm going to start letting you in little by little. So it's just kind of like unveiling those past things that I've dealt with, or just taking that conversation deeper. It's more than just hanging out, getting burgers and fries, talking about the game, or talking about, what such and such wore at the Grammys or something like that. Like, now it's not that surface level conversation. It's getting more into depth of, like you said, values. What are you looking for in a partner?
Yeah.
Like, what do you want to be? What type of values do you have? What are your morals? Things like that.
Now, we get this question a lot. How long do you intentionally date before we start thinking about engaging and that question?
Yeah.
And how do we navigate the emotions that get involved in all this? Because I'm thinking about the emotions, like earlier I talked about you are laying it all on the line if you're dating.
You are. Yeah.
There could be hurt, there could be happiness, and you have to, I guess, be
That's why
confident.
dating's so different than friendship or just hanging.
That's true. Because if we just hanging, like, if we stop hanging, we're not risking anything.
Yeah.
There's no risk at it. It's like, then all right, we stop hanging out. Okay, cool. But there is emotion and vulnerability, I hope, that goes into the dating process that people have to realize, especially when you're dating intentionally, and why you want to date intentionally. Because I think when you date intentionally, you eliminate, I think your risk of being happy comes a little higher if we're both going after it for the same reason. Now, you may get some dogs out there or some lady that's just like, whatever.
That's some dogs.
Some dogs. That then you get hurt because we're not both doing the same thing, going after the same thing. But if you are, that risk of finding the happiness usually outweighs the hurt, but the emotions are involved, and we're dealing with humans, and you're going to deal with mistakes, and now you're going to have to learn to, like, give people grace in the dating stage, which is tough, because it's like, I ain't married to you, so I can just bounce.
Right.
So how do you work out keeping that confidence of who you are, what you want, and knowing that you're risking it all, especially when you're dating and somebody hurts you or somebody does something in the dating, like people get mad at each other during dating.
Right.
So how do we get past the fact that, we're dating, we're not married, so this is not like I can just end this whenever?
I think honestly for that, it's perspective. I think if you look at this person and you're like, this could honestly be my husband, or this could honestly be my wife, I think, what are you willing to put up with? What are you willing to be like, okay, he may be struggling in this area, but this isn't a deal breaker for me. So it's like, you have to set, I think, what you can deal with, what you can handle, and know, okay, this person may have this flaw, but I know at the end of the day, the way that they treat me, the way that, we're vibing together, the way that our purposes are starting to coincide, it's worth, giving that person grace, giving that person forgiveness, and just knowing like you have to kind of pick at the end of the day. Like, what is that person worth to you?
Right.
Are they worth sticking it out, forgiving them, giving them grace, or is like, no, he a dog anyway, so I'm just gonna go ahead and move on. Just go ahead and move on. Like,
so I guess that then goes back to my other question of then, how long do you date intentionally before we start thinking about it?
Well, this is what I'm saying, because everybody's different, right? Different. So I don't want to put a number on it, like you have 3 years. But I think like everybody should be on the same page when it comes to what we're doing. Because that's another thing that we talk about a lot is communication. And I feel like if you're intentionally communicating and effectively communicating with this person, there shouldn't be any surprises as to, oh, she wants to get engaged, or, oh, he's looking to be married. Like, I feel like there should be those conversations where it's like, I think this is going in a good direction, or, those casual conversations of, when do you see yourself getting married? Or like, so you kind of have those questions where it's like, you ease them in a little bit, and then y'all have the conversation. So now y'all both know where y'all stand as far as, well, I know that this person, they're looking to get married within like the next 2 years. And that's now in the back of their mind, like, okay, well, this person's looking for something, within this time frame. So I think it's basically all communication. You have to communicate. Y'all should both be on the same page.
Right.
There should not be anybody in the relationship that wants 5 years and the other person doesn't even know. And they're like, oh, I wanted to get married yesterday. Like, y'all should both know where y'all stand.
True. That's good. I like that. Well, do you think we intentionally dated?
Oh, did we intentionally date? I would answer this honestly by saying, knowing what I know now of what intentionally dating is. Hold on. Let me think about this. Yes and no.
Okay. Explain yourself. Yes and no. Yes and no.
Because I knew when I was dating you that I was dating you as the potential husband.
Gotcha. Yeah.
Like, I knew that I wanted you to be my husband. I wasn't dating you like and dating other people or like all of that stuff. So there was that intention behind it. Now, do I feel like we talked about everything that I've learned over the last 15 years of dating you? Probably not.
Absolutely.
There were probably some things, like we've even talked about on one of our YouTube videos, we didn't even get deep into our family health history until later in marriage.
Oh yeah, so we're gonna dig in deeper.
Yeah, we're gonna dig into that about the questions to ask. So that's what I'm saying.
That can be a whole nother podcast.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying as far as dating intentionally. Yes, I knew that I wanted to date you with the purpose of intent to get married to you. But as far as having those questions and some of those answers, like, we didn't do that.
Gotcha.
What do you think? We didn't do all of it.
We didn't do all of it. No, I think you're right. I think that's why the friendship piece is so important, because it made our dating or our courtship effortless.
It did. It really did.
And it almost felt like we were just kind of picking up what we already started. Like, we were just carrying along what we were doing. There was fluidity. There was harmony between us already. Yeah. Which was neat because we both kind of knew, like you talked about earlier, like knowing, being on the same page in the communication. We both kind of knew we wanted to get married early. Yeah. I think we both just didn't know how, when. Like, cause look, guys, like, we were in college. Like, they had no money. Hope I had a job, but she had a decent job though. But like, I was coming out like with nothing. Yeah. And like, so how was I supposed to all of a sudden be ready for marriage, knowing I don't know like what's happening? Like, I don't know what's happening next. I guess that's where, those trust in God and all that stuff has to happen. True. But I think, like we talked about, like, it's not the connection we had just felt effortless. It did. And it felt like we tried to keep ourselves on the same page. And so I knew my values and I knew who I wanted or what I wanted in a wife. And it was easy to like see those things in you. So, you know,
try to be a smooth talker on the podcast.
I can be smooth, but no, like, and like, I think the key was though, I couldn't, especially at our age, I couldn't like look around at what was happening with everybody else.
That's true.
Like,
that's true.
It was
college life was different.
Yeah.
No, I totally
and so. And of course, you know, like we talked about, like you gotta deal with the good, bad, and ugly of people and their flaws. And you know, I made my mistakes, but it was like, all right, at the end of the day, you know what, I wanted you, and you knew that
I knew where home was.
I knew where home was.
He knew where
home was. Home, baby. Homeward bound.
I can't.
But no, I think that was real, and I think like, because it was effortless and because I knew what I wanted. I love myself, so it was easy to love you. I could take that next step.
So let me ask this, because I feel like I could talk about this all day.
Oh.
Okay, but I'm not. I know people got y'all going to work or doing whatever y'all do. So, okay.
They want to listen. They want to listen.
My question is, okay, you were intentionally dating in college, right? Something that is heard of, but it's not so popular.
It's not very popular at all. I don't.
So let me ask, what does dating intentionally in college look like?
Ooh.
Was it something that was on and popping back then? Like, were a lot of people dating intentionally?
I don't think anybody's really dating intentionally in college. Like,
okay.
I felt like a loner and it came to that.
So my first part question is, how did you feel, I guess, dating intentionally in college at such a young age? And then 2, did you ever have the pressure of like not wanting to date intentionally in college? Guys, I'm putting them on the spot. I'm putting them on the spot. And how did you handle that? Like, how did you handle dating when nobody else really was?
Yeah. Nah, I hear you. So, first part of that question was, how did I ever want to?
Yeah, you can answer that. Did you ever want to date intentionally in college?
Date intentionally? Like, I wanted to. I think for me, it was, once again, I talk about that friendship we had. So how I try to stay on the straight and narrow is always thinking about the friendship we had and the kind of the connection we've already made. And I didn't want to ruin that. Because, like you said, like, because we were dating, I now, like, there was a hurt piece that came into it. It's not like we were just friends, like, whatever, man. But it was like, if something I did, it was going to hurt you. And I was the type who never wanted to hurt you. Not intentionally wanted to go out and hurt you. So that's kind of how I kept myself on the straight and narrow of making sure I did what was right of you. Now, were there times where I was like, I think in college? Absolutely. There was probably definitely those times where it was just like, yo, I want to just see what's out there.
Look, I'm not mad at your honesty. I get it.
See what's out there. There's a lot
going on in the college streets.
But I think that was because I was in college.
Right. Your atmosphere.
My atmosphere was different. Like, that's why I think it's so important of what you see, who you're around, what you take in. It's important because when you put yourself in a situation where you're going to be around things that are going to contradict what you're trying to do.
Loose and flowing.
Then you have a bigger chance of doing those things. So, like...
How did you handle that, though? I'm asking you some tough questions. How did you handle that? What was your reasoning for not falling?
One I can talk about not wanting to hurt you.
Yeah.
Like, that was the big piece. Like, I did not want to hurt you. But like we talked about, and you know, like there were times where like it's disrespectful, like having to learn that how that was disrespecting, disrespectful to you. did I always succeed?
Right.
No.
Right.
I think also what then like opened my eyes to that was the grace you were giving me. Like it was one of those things like, yo, like I messed up and she still wants to ride with me because she sees something in me. Right. That opened my eyes to be like, okay, I got a great woman. And I think, and how do I handle? I take myself out of the situation. Y'all going to the party? I'm not gonna go tonight. Type thing. So keeping myself out of those situations.
And I think that goes back to like the point that I made earlier about choosing. Okay, is this person deserving of this grace and this forgiveness? Because it's kind of like one of those things. And guys, we're not talking about like he was like sleeping with people. Like it's innocent things that a person, well, not innocent, but like it's things that people, it's things that people can do that's not necessarily like physically cheating, but things that are just disrespectful. Yeah. So it was one of those things where it was like, okay, you know, Facebook, I think probably just came out. And there was like, you would possibly see pictures of Kadero just having a good time dancing.
I'm at the dancing party.
Yeah, but sometimes the dancing looked a little raunchy.
Big booty Judy was twerking it on me. And I'm like, somebody in the corner took the picture.
That's what I'm saying. God always reveals what is done in the dark will sure enough come to light. Huh? No, I'm kidding. But that's what I'm saying.
No, it came to light. Literally, the flash brought it to light. The picture flash brought it to light. Right. And Facebook brought it to light.
That's what I'm saying. But it's just one of those things, like, I was like, I can get over that. One, I get it. He's in college. Like, he's at a party. I'm not expecting this guy just to date me and sit in his dorm and not do anything. Yeah. Like, not socialize or anything. So it was just one of those things like, okay, I get it. He apologized. Let's move on. Let's work towards our future. Okay? So it's just one of those things. But no, I mean, I get it. Like, I respect it. And I commend you for dating intentionally in college. Like, I'm sure that was pretty tough. I couldn't imagine dating intentionally.
It was one of the hardest navigations of my life. But
and on that note, ladies and gentlemen, we are way past our time. We
hope you guys got something out of that, man. But I think next week we gotta definitely talk about the question, like, because we've now talked about intentional dating. We've got a commitment. Yeah. And now we thinking engagement. Yeah. But before we even talk about engagement, what are the questions you should ask before marriage?
Before marriage.
I think you should ask it while you're dating, not even engaged.
Not even engaged?
Yeah, I'm not gonna buy the ring if some of these questions are gonna ask. So we're gonna talk about that next week, man. So we hope you guys enjoyed today's podcast.
That's right.
We need you to download this episode. Download the past episodes.
That's what I'm saying. Subscribe.
Make sure you subscribe to H&K Chronicles. Rate us.
5 stars.
5 stars. No. Nothing below. And give us a review, man. Yeah. Tell us what you love about our podcast, man. We want to be the hottest new podcast out there. Yeah. So let us know how we doing. We appreciate you guys. We love you. H&K Nation. Shout out to y'all. Patreon, if you're watching this. Shout out to y'all. Make sure y'all join if you're not already on this thing.
And check out our website that has literally everything that we're doing on it.
That's right.
Everydaywithhk.com.
Yes, sir.
Until next time, guys. We love you.
Love you.
Peace.
Peace.